I think the saturation is kind of similar to it's still Korean language, but just with a different dialect. I can still understand the language, but still got the dialect and some words that I can understand. But it's still in Malaysia too. We have some other dialect, so I can understand that. Busan satu ni. Pembangunnya. Masa salah handai. I think it's very unique. The language, it's good to experience, to hear them in real life. I feel like I want to learn other dialect.
不上，man，更男人一点吧，更有男人味一点，更有男子气概一点。
맛있어? 맛있다?
什么呀？那是好吃的意思吧？
帅气的意思。
멋있다是好吃的意思。
别吵。
handsome，멋있다 man different soul yes.
Of course, in India we do have dialects. Every 60 kilometers the dialects has been changed in India. So in India I have heard there. Here also I observed and heard it. Because first of all, hi, I live in Busan. So actually I have observed the Korean language in Busan and Korean language in Seoul. For example, if you're in Seoul, when you approach someone, if you are asking something to them, they will say 안녕하십니까 like that. They will say like that. They will start like that. Then they will start to talk to you, or like in the same way in Busan we say something 안녕하세요, like a kind of 안녕하십니까, 안녕하세요, that kind of thing. I heard like a difference. And also 있어요, 안녕, like that kind of the variations in the voice and all. Actually the word is same, actually start with the same letter, but the ending is different, some rhythmic. In Seoul area people, especially foreigners, can differentiate it. When we heard something in Korean, they say some rhythmic ending, 안녕하십니까, 안녕하세요, 감사합니다, 안녕하세요, like that. The same thing in Busan, 안녕하세요, like that. So, and even Dongdaegu, that's quite different. And also Gwangju is also different. And the east, west, wherever you go, the Korea is the best. And I love this different dialect. I enjoy when I heard something when they're talking. Although I'm trying my best to learn.
My first experience hearing Korean dialect was in the southern region, so in Busan, and when I visited Daegu as well. And I was quite surprised. It's very different from standard spoken Korean, both the intonation and also the pace. So it's quite hard to understand. I think people in Busan speak really fast, and I don't want to say they sound more aggressive, but it's more, it's more lively. It's more animated. And so it's very different than like Seoul accent or anything like that. So it's very unique. I really enjoyed it. Trying to figure out or kind of mimic I couldn't understand it. So I knew it was Korean, but usually when I hear Korean, I can understand it. And so it was more of me trying to figure out what they were saying. So it didn't feel foreign, but I guess it did feel a little foreign. Yeah, but I liked it. Yeah, I liked it a lot. I liked the Busan accent. I don't know, it's just fun.
We also live in like the central region, so I live in 중북, 충청,
남도,
북도에는 충청남도 맞아요. 그래서 it's like a little. There's also a dialect, but it's not as like strong as like the southern, like the 경상남도, like Daegu, Busan, Changwon. I think like in our region, it's kind of like cute. It's like 감사해요. It's like the U ending. I think Busan Satsuri for me, like I think it's different. People say it's different. Like I think amongst Koreans, they say like for women it's cute. It's like 매력적이다, and then for men it's like very cool, like 멋있어요.
Yeah, it's like a bit more rough. Kind of, it sounds like slang.
Oh, like 테토남.
Yeah, it's not standard, so it seems a bit cooler. Yeah, it's strong, it's rough around the edges.
Yeah.
Seoul feels flat. There isn't really up and down as much.
Like it's easier for Americans to learn like Busan Satsuri because it's kind of like 이렇게. Maybe someone who's never heard any Asian languages, they would think like, oh, this sounds like this. But I think like once you understand, like once you've heard Korean enough, you understand the differences between different languages.
When I hear Korean, I can tell that this is Korean, not Chinese or Japanese. It sounds totally different than Japanese or Chinese. Korean sounds a little bit closer to Japanese, but it's not Japanese. But it's definitely not Chinese. Chinese is a little bit melodic, where Korean is half and a half. There's like a melody to it, but there's like a distinguished sound. Like between the dialects of Koreans, I probably can tell if someone is like from the countryside or like from the city side. The way they speak, it's a bit different. The way they speak, when I see them in the metro, yeah, I can tell like, oh, this guy is like from the countryside probably. For the guys who are like, I'm just assuming here, like if they're like from the countryside, they sound a bit harsh and a bit like, not loud, but the way that they pronounce certain words in Korean, it sounds like a bit heavy. Where like the people in the city, they sound a bit more fast, like in a very fast pace. So yeah, that's like how I can maybe, and this is just me assuming obviously because I don't speak Korean. I don't think it's weird. I like when you can tell the difference, it's not weird.
So I used to live in abroad, Canada and US. So I have a couple of friends from Korea and they're from different cities in Korea. Some from like Jeju, some from Busan and Seoul. So I heard like the different dialogues. I feel like it sounds similar to me because I don't speak Korean much, but I can tell some difference between like Jeju dialect, Seoul dialect. Similar, yeah.
I think like I heard about Busan, Daegu, and yeah, Seoul. Principally like Seoul. Weird. Like I know how to difference, but it was like so hard in the beginning, and then it was easier when I started like to listen a lot of conversations. It was weird the difference between Busan and also Daegu. Yeah. Like I do the difference between Japanese, Chinese, Korean, and Thailand. Like in Barcelona we have a lot of Koreans also. I don't know. Maybe they talk like more with the mouth closed. Yeah.
I only heard it in a Korean drama, but I like the sound it makes because it's very round and it's kind to the ear to listen to. It's like wow, and it reminds me of Portuguese from Brazil. They speak like that too, like ow. Yeah, something like that. I can understand that it's Korean, but I can't recognize from where in Korea exactly. I can recognize that it's Korean thanks to Korean drama again.
Currently, I'm a student in Inha University, but I had a chance to visit several regions such as Busan and Jeju-do, and their dialects are really different from each other. When I was in Busan, they're talking like ma, like it's called vod, but in Seoul and in Incheon, they doesn't use this word. In Jeju-do, it's really different because their suffix, like verbs that they use, are really different. Even in meaning, they're really different. And sometimes when they ask something from us, we couldn't even respond to them because we didn't understand it. In Busan it was okay, but in Jeju it was a really awkward situation because we couldn't even understand what they want. But our Korean is not that bad actually. Now I'm in Seoul, that's why I understand them, yeah.
It was obviously it's amazing to be there, but wherever I go, but I prefer Busan actually. Busan is the city, as it indicates the title, the dynamic Busan. I love it, and so many people they call it as Seoul is called Asia of Seoul, and for Daegu it's a colorful Daegu. But I love Busan. Busan is at its best actually. Like not that much crowd and all, the best transportation. The people are so nice and kind. I'm living in the Busan, but I love Busan. Busan accent and dialect. Busan is the best. Dynamic Busan.
And how about the ancient? You want to have fight with the ancient in Busan?
Also Jeju-do, Satsuri, which is actually, like some people say that it's not a dialect and it's actually its own language and it's becoming extinct. We have friends in Jeju-do who live and work there, and it's interesting like me learning about how their school is trying to preserve it. I think it's super interesting.
I find that I work at a boarding school where students are from different regions of Korea, and so there are some students who maybe are from Gumsan and have a very distinct accent, but I find that they try to kind of acclimate to the environment and change their accent to become more standardized. So I only know where they're from after I ask them, what is your hometown? So I think a lot of people do lose their accent in effort to like become more understood. English we call code switching, because we also have dialects across the US. someone from Washington D.C. will sound very different from someone from Boston, from
That's true.
California, from Texas, but people will kind of adapt or adopt this standard English accent or American accent to maybe sound more professional or to sound more relatable. So I see that happening here as well.
Hi guys, please do subscribe, support our videos. Please increase the subscriber.
Yes.
And thank you. We are signing off. Bye.
Bye bye.